Hello everyone and welcome. I want you to imagine a world where you have no cell phone, no internet. You perform back-breaking labor from the time you're born until you die. And worst of all, you have millions upon millions of sisters and they all live with you in the same house. This is the world of the game that we are talking about today. I'm Mike, and this is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is the After Action Review for Empire of the Ants. As always, guys, we are going to start with the game's production. Empire of the Ants was initially released on November 7th, 2024. It was developed by Tower 5, most well known for Lorn Sword Winter Chronicle from 2019. Its publisher was Microids, most well known for Sifu from 2022, and also most recently did Little Big Adventure, Quincen's Quest, earlier this year in 2024. The music was by Matthew Elvato, most well known for 3 Days to Kill in 2014, and also did Ghost of a Tale in 2018, and Mark Choi, who's known for Path of Kami, Journey Begins in 2022, and did Anchored Hearts, A Tale of Destiny, earlier this year in 2024. So let's move on to the game's story. First off, I want to let you guys know that according to HowLongToBeat.com, it takes on average about 16 and a half hours to play through the game's campaign. As you play through the story, you are a member of the vast and powerful Red Wood Ant Empire of Belo-Kan, and serve directly under the Empress Belo-Quiquini in the capital city of Belo-Kan. They really do enjoy their alliterated naming conventions. The game starts as your colony begins to wake after a winter dispause period. Fun fact, everybody, dispause is a physiological state that many ant species enter in order to survive winter. You can kind of think of it as a more extreme, slightly more extreme version of hibernation. As you start to scout for food for the colony, you discover the presence of your ancient enemy, termites, and must defend your home from the invaders. But your colony is not the only one beset by problems as summer begins. Throughout the game, you will travel to colonies across the Empire to deal with termites, black ants, and even civil war. Throughout the game, you will play through 4 different mission types. Traversal missions will see you search for resources or lost sisters throughout the map with a proximity meter to guide you. Exploration missions require you to hunt prey to bring back to the colony. Tactical missions offer unique combat challenges through special preset battle scenarios. And finally, strategic missions are your typical RTS battles in which you will build your army, manage resources, claim territory, and defeat your enemies. A nice design feature of the game that should be noted is that you are not required to beat every mission in the game to advance the story. This is nice in the case of you finding a mission that you just can't beat, and it also prevents your progression from being stopped by a level that you find frustrating, unfun, or too difficult. There is also a mission replay option in the game's main menu to allow you to go back for any missed collectibles or skipped missions. So then moving on to the game's core gameplay mechanics. Empire of the Ants is a third-person strategy game. This means that it is a real-time strategy game played from a third-person perspective, much like an old game that I really like called Sacrifice. The core gameplay mechanics here are combat, exploration, and base management, all of which I believe are done very well. Being that the game is not in the typical top-down perspective, some aspects of the real-time strategy elements may take some getting used to for the average RTS player. You are an ant commander, and you manage 3 things: your resources, your army, and your nests. There are 2 resources in the game: wood and food. Wood serves as the primary resource for building upgrades to your nests, while food is used primarily for making new units and to speed up production when building things and making said units. Nests serve as control points and bases where you can build structures called chambers that do everything from produce units and resources, give you special abilities, and have passive effects that support the war effort. Each nest has a chamber limit of 7, with the exception of your headquarters nest, which has a chamber limit of 9. This forces you to strategize about which nests you want to have which chamber or upgrade. Some of the available upgrades you can build in a nest are not considered chambers and do not contribute to the chamber limit. An example of this would be the defensive structures. The build menu for nests is divided into 5 categories: economy, defense, information, powers, and legions. The individual units in the game are called legions. There are 5 legion types: warrior, gunner, worker, support, and super predators. Support legions offer special bonuses and come in 3 flavors. Aphids heal legions, the snail gives legions armor, and the rhino beetle is a transport vehicle. The coolest thing about the support legions is that you can ride both the rhino beetle and the snail for fast, or slow, transportation around the battlefield. The super predators are other bug species that have been tamed by the ant empire and offer unique tactical advantages in battle. Door beetles can lock multiple enemy legions into combat at once, preventing them from fleeing the battle or attacking anything else. Rose chafers are immune to acid and ranged attacks, and hornets can fly and are immune to melee damage, but do take high damage from gunners. The combat in the game is designed in a rock, paper, scissors fashion. Warriors beat workers, gunners beat warriors, and workers beat gunners. The exceptions to this are the support legions, which cannot attack and are weak to everything, and the super predators, which are strong against everything. Each nest can control 1 legion. These are built in the legion menu of the nest. Economy chambers and upgrades produce resources and manage your army. It should be noted that the woodyard and mushroom farm chambers, these are the resource producing chambers, increase in cost for every one that you build. Defense is the only category in which none of the upgrades count towards your chamber limit. This means that you can build all of your defensive structures, chambers, and upgrades on all of your nests if you can afford the resource cost. The upgrades in the defense category help defend your nests by recruiting and upgrading gunners and nest guards. You can also build upgrades that passively give legions around your nest armor, or lock enemies into combat once they attack the nest. And you can even build walls around your nests, but they also increase in cost for each one that you build. The information category gives you access to logistical upgrades, such as giving you a minimap, increasing your unit's detection range, and revealing enemies in regions that you control. The powers upgrades give you access to a variety of pheromones that help you turn the tide of battles. A few examples of the pheromones that you can unlock are Reinforcement Call, which heals your legions, Dash, which increases a legion's speed, Rage, which increases a unit's damage, and, my personal favorite, Burrows, allows you to quickly transport yourself to any nest that you control by digging a tunnel. This game does a very good job at being an ant simulator, and this truly is brought to light through the exploration. As an ant, you can climb vertically and even horizontally as you explore the environments, and you can jump great distances to aid you in your travels. Throughout the game, you will find massive objects that you can scan using pheromones to learn more about them. This information is available in the Collections menu. So moving on to the game's special features. There are a few special features in the game that should be mentioned. Let's start with the collectibles. In some missions, you can find butterflies hidden throughout the map. There are also golden beetles, which are sent to a cave in Melocan that you can view later when collected. The most unique collectibles are the memory pheromones. Memory pheromones are left behind by other ants and tell you about the world around you. This works to expand the lore of the world and has a significant role in making the story of the game work effectively. Another less relevant special feature of the game are map modifiers. Each mission in the game has a modifier to the map that you play on. These include temperature, weather, and cloud cover. These affect the speed of gathering, resource production, and foraging. The most notable special feature of the game, and actually the whole reason why I was interested in reviewing it, is the realism. The graphics of a game are something that I usually do not care about and almost never discuss, but here they legitimately enhance the gameplay experience, so I have to bring it up. How well they did the photorealism in this game is just captivating and really allows you to feel the scale of the world. It is so cool to see what I imagine it would be like to live as an ant and interact with the world around you. The realism does not just include the graphics. The developer really did their homework as well. The different insects in the game and their descriptions are about as accurate as you're ever going to get in a game like this. So, moving into my actual sustains and improves, my first sustain is a simple, accessible, but effective combat system. Being that this is a third-person RTS rather than the top-down, it can be hard to manage a huge army, and you don't have to. You have a limit on how many legions you can have, and I think it's appropriate how many they did. It's nice to be able to have that simple formula of rock, paper, scissors, warriors to workers, workers to gunners, and gunners to warriors. Great idea to have, and I'm not sure how it plays into the book, but it was a great idea to have the super predators, which adds a little bit of spice to the mix that exists outside of that little triumvirate of combat types. I really liked this. I thought it was great. My second sustain is the concept as a whole, and this is can partly be attributed to the fact that this came from a book series, but I really like the idea of being an ant, managing an ant army, moving forward with the progression of your empire. There's something about the gaming industry, and I understand why, because sometimes it can be hard to make things work with the concept and the mechanics, but dragon games, dinosaur games, vampire games, werewolf games, these games where you play as some mythical creature and have all kinds of cool abilities are kind of rare. And I know that there's online multiplayer games, but those tend to be generic at least a little bit, in order to ensure balance for the players. I really liked what they did here with the concept. I thought it was great, and it would be cool to see them. I'm excited to see how they expand it into the future. The first improve that I have is some of the movement mechanics didn't work quite so well, at least in the beginning when I wasn't used to them. I know this one is a little bit of a stretch, but I basically am used to first-person shooter games where you can crawl around, like the Alien series. Crawling around to the walls works a little bit differently. You either have your mouse or your controller or the WASD keys, you're moving left, right, with the mouse, and basically being able to control where you look and pushing forward works. Here, I in the beginning wasn't exactly sure if I'm moving with my camera or I'm moving with the facing of my character, and getting used to that was a little bit weird. If they could make that work a little better in the future, or actually at least explain that a little better in the future in the tutorial levels, that would be great, and I'd really appreciate it. I know that one's a little bit of a stretch. It's not that big of a deal, especially with the way the game plays, because you're going to be managing your armies most of the time. Still, it should be mentioned. The second thing, as far as an improve, is going to be the scale and scope. So they are a AA developer. They're not one of the big AAA giants. They have done a really good job. Again, I said they didn't bite off more than they could chew. I don't think they did this wrong, but if you are going to make a sequel and you are going to improve upon this game, expand the scope. More lore, more world building, more management of the actual empire would be cool outside of combat missions. I can imagine something like StarCraft 2, where after certain missions you gain upgrades for your units, maybe some different units, some variation. So for instance, the enemy might have the standard warrior and you have a warrior that's a little bit faster and maybe looks a little bit different, or you have ants from a different species that work for you that you can swap out for your own ants. Something. I don't know exactly how it would work or how you would do it, but I'm sure that they can think of something because they're game developers. But yeah, expanding the scope, expanding what you can do with your units, and maybe getting a little bit more into actually managing your empire outside of combat would be cool. So, then moving on to my final statement and review score. Empire of the Ants is a well-made game, loosely based on a book trilogy. Empire of the Ants in 1991, The Day of the Ants in 1992, and The Revolution of the Ants in 1996. Written by French author Bernard Werber. The game exemplifies the type of creativity that you can find from smaller developers because they aren't restricted as much by corporate interests and aren't as risk-averse as the AAA giants. I do realize that people may complain about the scope of the game and the atypical RTS formula, but I think that the Tower 5 team was appropriately ambitious here. Biting off more than you can chew most often leads to low quality, and this actually is true for both the video game and movie industries, and has become a major problem in recent years. I would also say that if you don't like the third-person perspective in the RTS genre, the game may just not be to your taste, but that doesn't mean that it is low quality. Having said all of that, I will give this game a rating of above average, which is 1 thumb up. It's not quite excellent, but it's so solidly done. The sustains are great, the improves are minimal, and don't hurt the game too much in my opinion. This game seems to me like it could be the starting point of a very fun and creative series, with each game widening the scope and coming up with new and increasingly creative ways to explore the Empire of the Ants. If you've watched the video all the way to the end, I want to thank you all for watching and say God bless you all, and have a good day. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord, where you can voice chat with me while I live stream, and you won't be recorded or anything on YouTube and Twitch, so that's pretty cool. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you like to read, you can see my after-action reports on my blog. And if you are interested, you can get some merch from my spring store. The links for everything are in the description below.